2020, it brought about seismic changes in the way that we do ministry, especially in how we craft worship. And while it was a difficult year in many ways, there is so much to celebrate. The church has risen to the challenges facing us in this present time, and we are reaching people we have never reached before. It's as if we are witnesses to the modern day equivalent of Gutenberg firing up his press for the very first time. The church has never been so malleable, and it has never moved so quickly. We have taken some incredible strides and have made some really valuable gains in the way that we are connecting with the world around us. It's an exciting time to be the church. But I believe we face what may be the most critical moment in the life of the modern day church as we enter into the next season of ministry. See, I think that we will either build upon all that we've learned during this pandemic, or we will revert to those comfortable places, practices, and patterns of the past. My name is Jason Moore, and I am very excited to tell you about my new webinar entitled Both And: Maximizing Hybrid Worship Experiences for Online and In-Person Audiences. You see, prior to March 2020, many churches who were already worshiping online, if we're really honest, were creating worship meant for people in the room. And sure, at some point they'd look at the camera and they'd say, "Hey, thanks for joining us online in worship today." But then they'd really turn their attention back to the people in the room and continue with an experience meant for people gathered in a physical space. Back then, we had no other model, and that felt just fine. But when the global pandemic hit, everything changed. Some went online for the very first time. That may be you, and that is to be celebrated. But those who are already offering worship online turned their attention from out here talking to the people to talking to the camera and speaking directly to people worshiping online from home or wherever they happen to be. I think they could feel that change. So a critical moment is upon us as we begin to go back to in-person worship. One of two scenarios may play out. After spending nearly a year talking to the camera, we could very easily treat the people in person like the studio audience, providing the claps and laughs and background voices for those participating online. But what's more likely to happen is that we will turn our attention solely to those people who are gathered physically in front of us and make the online audience feel as if they're observers to an experience that they are not really a part of. They'll feel that too. Friends, nobody wants to be an afterthought. We will lose so much of what we have gained if we treat either audience as secondary. And whatever we do, we can't stop our online worship expressions when we go back to in-person worship, as many churches are ministering to more people right now than have walked through their physical doors in years. Both and must continue. That's why I've created this new learning opportunity to help you build a strategy for how to create what I'm calling both and worship. We'll explore what it means to reimagine worship and the experience of worship for multiple audiences, where everyone feels like they're part of what's taking place in the moment. I'll share multiple strategies for how to create both and worship, regardless of your church size, your worship style, how technically savvy you are, and so on. This webinar is best experienced with a team. So pastors, musicians, liturgists, worship hosts, hospitality team members, and of course techies will all benefit from this conversation. Now, your conference has made this event possible, and I'm so excited to have the opportunity to present it live in the very near future. Check out your conference's website for how to register and be a part of this very practical webinar. Friends, I just have to say kudos to you for all that you've been doing these last many months. You have been through so much. You have learned through the challenges, technical and otherwise, and as we move into the next season of ministry, we have to consider both and. Please stay safe out there, keep up the great work, and I hope to see you as part of this training.